Rolling?
Rolling.
All right, man. We're going to do a podcast, a much more let's get in it podcast within a week or two, right?
Let's do it. Yeah, we'll do
it. But today we're just going to go back and forth a little bit, okay? Before we start, I think I know Mossad left the gates open to let Hamas in.
100%.
Okay, I know that for 100%. A fact.
100%.
I don't want to argue that point. That is what I believe. If you believe, oh, Mossad got this one wrong, you're too stupid. You're too stupid to listen to this, and I want nothing to do with this. Now, as I told you before, there's real history and Victor's history. 99% of the people listening to this, they don't understand Victor's history. So having said that, Hamas is a bloodthirsty terrorist organization. They went in there and they killed 1,300. I mean, imagine someone coming in here with a gun and just shooting you and your fucking family. And you know that's what happened. There's no...
any attacks on civilians is horrible and unjustified.
Okay. So again, and the same with the Israeli attacks on the Palestinians, especially fucking hospitals or all
hospitals, churches, schools, mosques.
Listen, I don't know who to believe. I don't know if Israel is bombing him or if Hamas is doing it. Saying Israel. I don't know. You don't know. I don't know. We can only assume. I don't trust Zionists. So. Most likely they're lying, but I don't trust Hamas either. Okay? So explain to me what you would do if you're a Jewish prime minister. And again, I don't like Netanyahu.
Sure.
But again, we're sticking to the Victor's history, not that, Mossad let him in.
Sure.
You have 1,300 bodies that just got murdered in cold blood. What are you doing?
The situation is this: there's no military solution. There's 2 million people living in Gaza. They're cut off from the rest of the world. They're cut off from infrastructure, from food, from water. You cannot cage people in an open-air prison.
Why are they caged?
For decades.
Why are they caged?
Because Israel controls the borders all around them.
Well, they're not doing the same thing in the West Bank, though.
They've killed 20 children in the last
Yes, they have.
But
but there's no wall in the West Bank. There's none of that. Sure. These people... Compared to the Gaza people in Gaza, they have a lot of rights.
They use Hamas as an excuse, but what Israel wants is complete control over the Gaza Strip.
Why?
Because it's part of their land that they believe.
Greater Israel.
Exactly.
Greater Israel.
Their mission.
That's an opinion, by the way. There's no valid proof for that yet.
I believe that's what they want. They want full control over all the land. The problem is this: Palestinians in the Greater Israel land outnumber the Israelis. So, and that forces for Israel to remain a Jewish state. They cannot give equal rights to Palestinians. If they do give equal rights to the Palestinians, one person, one vote, Israel would cease
to exist to
be a Jewish state.
So they can't do that.
So, they won't do that. So the only alternative...
They can't, so you tell me what's
the alternative. I think the alternative is what they want. They want bloodshed.
They want to kill as many people as possible. They want to exterminate the Palestinians. And the Israelis.
How does that help them? When there's Iran, when there's Hezbollah, when there's Saudi Arabia who will turn on them, where there's Jordan, all of these countries who want peace, that's off the table now. How does this help them?
Because they know they have America's backing, and Iran doesn't want a full-scale war with America. Neither does Saudi Arabia. Nobody's going to do anything serious. They know they can get away with it. Israel has committed war crimes. Any other country that would have done what Israel has done would have been sanctioned by the UN. Yes, the UN has put a lot of condemnations, but
America has done some stuff like that.
America gets away with it. I mean,
China's done.
If you're a superpower,
China's done stuff like that.
Exactly. America and superpowers. However, Israel knows it can get away with it, and so Israel is putting as many policies in place to really make the Palestinian people second-class citizens. That's what they are. They live in apartheid.
Oh, yeah, there's no doubt. There's no doubt that American dogs live better than Palestinians. There is no doubt about that.
I mean, if you take dogs, and I hate to use that, but if you take dogs and you cage them and you starve them, and you don't give them water, and you corner them in a small piece, if they ever get out, what do you think is going to happen? Let's not pretend Israel didn't see this coming.
Well, let me just say this. There's plenty of mistreated dogs in the world. sometimes they know that if they go too far, it can get a lot worse. So again,
and that begs the question:
what Hamas did
and that begs
made things worse.
And that
correct?
begs the question.
Yes or no?
Of course. I mean, look at the 1,000 people dying. But that begs the question: why do it when you know Israel's going to retaliate that way? And really psychologically, because you got to think of things not just politically or religiously, but psychologically. I believe the people in Gaza have been pushed to the brink of death. There's a saying: if you're born in Gaza, you're born dead. And because of that, maybe, and I'm not justifying, but you got to be able to look at this from a human psyche perspective. Maybe they thought, we're dying slow. You know what? Let's fight and die fast. I'm not saying that's right.
But hold on. They had wars in 2014, 2006. They know things can get worse. This is nothing new.
And I think
if they're repeating the same mistakes over and over, how are they helping? How many Hamas members are there? 40,000? Like 40,000? Somewhere around 40,000. Yeah. 2 million Palestinians. Do you know the Palestinians can't say anything bad about Hamas? They'll get their fucking throats slit in Gaza. No. That is 100% true. Do you remember there was a war between Fatah and Hamas in 2007? January 2007?
Yeah, I remember.
And what happened was the people voted for Hamas to take over in Gaza.
Yes.
But yet if Fatah would have stayed in there instead of Hamas, what would have happened? They would have had the same situation they have in the West Bank, which would have been a lot better.
But this is a problem. It's so relative. In the West Bank, over the last week alone, where there's no Hamas, Israel has killed 20 Palestinians. Settlers and continue to occupy and take over more land. The West Bank,
with all due respect, 20 is in 4,000 or 5,000.
It isn't, but
it's not bombs coming out.
The problem is this: 20. I mean, how many family members do you think those 20 had? How many relatives? Every kid Israel kills, it's probably turning 100 people into hard.
Don't disagree. Don't disagree with you at all. 100%. That's one of the things. You kill terrorists, his family members, one of those guys might be a terrorist in the future. As a matter of fact, I think some of these guys who are attacked Israel from Hamas probably...
Forget killing terrorists, brother. I'm with you. But it's just the problem is you're killing so many children, 2,000 children. How many videos have I seen of children, Palestinians, shaking? Shaking is the bombs that blow up. Now let's
listen. No one's arguing.
I know. Bear with me. 10 years from now, 20 years from now, that kid that's shaking.
Yes, will be a terrorist.
Who saw his mom blow up.
Or freedom.
Or the kid's brain.
Depending how you look at it.
Where you want to look at.
All right. I'll meet you halfway on that. That's the point. There's no military solution. If Israel kills 2,000 children this year, it's making maybe 200,000 warriors in the future. There's no military solution.
People are softer nowadays. I don't think.
I don't know. I mean, when you see your mom and your dad blown up, when you see your parents blown up in front of you. My point is, violence isn't the answer. You know, there cannot be a military solution.
Violence has been the answer to many conflicts in the world.
It will solve Israel's
violence is the answer why America is the #1 country in the world right now. It's because of violence.
The only violence that will work for Israel is complete elimination of the Palestinian people. Complete ethnic cleansing.
Okay.
But you know why? Let me finish why. You got to look at the data, the numbers. All right. The people, if you look at the greater Israel land, there's more Palestinians native living there than there are Israeli Jews. Right?
Agreed.
So Israel now has a conundrum. What do? Right? You want to remain a Jewish state. So how can you do that when you have a large percentage of your population that isn't Jewish? You have, the only thing you can do is continue to deprive them of equal rights.
Why can't you get 2 states?
Realistically, that won't work.
Why do I hear that all the time? It won't work. Why?
Because they're not.
Jerusalem is not just holy to Jews. It's also holy to Muslims. Also holy to Christians, unless I'm mistaken. I believe it's holy to everyone.
They don't want that. The Israelis themselves don't want that. They want Gaza. They want the West Bank. That's why they're illegally creating settlements in both the West Bank and I think this is why they want to invade Gaza. This is why they overlooked the warnings. It is. And you got to evaluate to see does it make sense or not. But there's credible reports that the Israelis ignored reports from Egypt that Hamas was going to.
100%. I'm saying that's why I got shadow banned for saying that shit.
Exactly. We're saying the same thing. So I think Israel wants to do whatever it can to drive the Palestinians out of Gaza and take over that land. Because if they don't...
Why is it Israel, though? I mean, let's be honest. A lot of Jews died in the concentration camp. It wasn't 6 million. It was probably about 350,000 or something that. But those Jews basically died to create Israel.
And they were welcomed by the Palestinians.
Am I wrong that 350 or whatever amount of Jews died during the Holocaust, and without their blood, there's no Israel?
I mean, I think what happened is Europe felt horrific about what they allowed to happen with the horrific number of Jews that were murdered by Hitler. So then they just gave this land that wasn't theirs to the Jews.
That was actually the British.
The British, right?
The British. There you go. And that was a long time ago.
And then there's a really good documentary.
But before we go on, I just want to say that, is it possible that there's a difference between Zionists and Jews?
100%. I believe so.
And these Jews are being murdered and used as scapegoats to basically have an agenda going.
To justify what's going to happen.
So there's a guy by the name of Albert Pike. You ever hear his name?
No.
So he's a 33rd degree Freemason. He wrote this in 1890. He said there's going to be 3 wars. The first war, get rid of all the kings and queens in Europe. And that happened.
Right.
He said the second war would pit fascists against, whatever the term was at the time, capitalists. And he said the third war will be united, the Zionists versus the Muslims. What I'm thinking is, what we have going on here is people pulling strings from both sides to make sure something happened, because we both agreed that Mossad let him in. There's no way they didn't see this coming. But then again, someone in Mossad, someone in Hamas had to be like, yo, we got to get in. We got to go. We got to make this happen. I think the same people who let him in from Mossad's side was the same type of organization who had their plants in Hamas, who fucking had him going. I think all of these motherfuckers are pawns.
I mean, there were times when we know, credibly, back in the day, Israel was funding and supporting Hamas.
They started Hamas.
Exactly.
Because Yasser Arafat was the crazy leader back then, and with the PLO, but he was in charge of Fatah, and they wanted a backup to Fatah.
Exactly.
But then, when Yasser Arafat died, and this Abbas guy came in, and who I think is soft, does whatever the fuck they tell him to do, and again, he probably does what he thinks.